Hi everyone, my name is Tao and I'm currently a master's student at Georgia Tech. I would like to thank all of my co-authors for their great contributions to this work, in which we investigate the effects of egocentric versus exocentric viewpoint and active versus passive navigation on immersive immersion as well as understanding in immersive storytelling. Visual storytelling communicates complex ideas in a more engaging and descriptive way than traditional text-only stories. The evolution of digital technology has greatly expanded the possibilities of visual storytelling, offering new genres and more diverse ways to deliver content. As digital technology continues to evolve, the pressing question now is, what's next for visual storytelling, and how can it offer novel experiences? One strong candidate we want to study is immersive technology. For example, 360 videos provide enhanced presence, but oftentimes audiences can only have limited controls, as they can typically do nothing but move their heads. On the other hand, major news outlets use interactive formats like mobile AR to enable more interactivity and engagement, but they are typically short and not a complete story. We aim to expand multi-scene journalistic storytelling to immersive environments for deeper presence and engagement. Specifically, we explored how people perceive and navigate 3D space, as the viewpoint and navigation design can be flexible in immersive storytelling. Readers can experience stories from either exocentric or egocentric viewpoints, moving either actively or passively. This produces four combinations of story settings. And our goal is to understand how these design choices impact spatial immersion and comprehension in immersive stories. As an initial step, we did a formative study involving 3 steps. We first collected stories from major news outlets. We then filtered out those without significant 3D information, as they are not suitable and informative for our study. Finally, we conducted a elicitation study with 3 VR experts. In summary, experts frequently mentioned 4 major story components in their responses: main visual elements, story narratives, navigation triggers, as well as text and visual guidance. In this diagram, we briefly summarize some common design patterns to these 4 story components. These common patterns in the web stories were selected because they are highly compatible with the immersive environments. Based on these design patterns, we developed 2 egocentric and 2 exocentric story cases, each with active and passive versions. One egocentric case is about the COVID virus concentration comparisons among 3 ventilation conditions in the classroom. In each ventilation condition, a corresponding airflow will show up, along with the narratives on audience's left controller. In the active navigation, audience first teleport to different positions to view normal airflows in different angles, following visual guidance like arrows and lines. And then one infected student was introduced, and audiences are asked to open the window and put on the fan to change the ventilation condition. And then they will see the airflow will change, and the concentration distribution of the contaminants in the air also changes. In the passive navigation, audience clicks the controller button, and then the visual elements will change automatically. The virtual environment is moved. In the first-person view, it is as if the audiences were moved to different positions. The field of view is reduced to alleviate the problem of motion sickness. Another egocentric case is about the Tulsa massacre. This story is built as a neighborhood with an avenue and buildings along the 2 sides. Each building is labeled with the business before the massacre, and some of their owners have introductions on the panel. In active navigation, audiences follow the arrow, teleport to different hotspots in front of the building, and read the corresponding narratives on the panel. They repeat this step until they reach the end of the avenue. In the passive navigation, audience clicks the controller button, and the neighborhood will automatically transform itself. The field of view reduction is also used in this story case. One exocentric case is about the impact of climate change on the Gulf Stream in the Atlantic Ocean. The main visual element is a globe with animated currents. The story walks audience through the Gulf Stream. In the active story, The audience grab and rotate the globe to look at a series of designated points of interest. The direction they should look at is indicated by two arrows. In the passive navigation, audiences click a controller button, and the globe will be translated and rotated automatically so that the corresponding point of interest is facing towards the audience. Another exocentric case is about how 9/11 reshaped the financial district of Manhattan. A 3D landscape of lower Manhattan is shown in front of the audience. Similar to the previous case, audience also manipulates the landscape with grab and rotation. But in this case, the guidance is a translucent ghost map animating from the current transform to the next transform. In the passive navigation, audience clicks a controller button, and the landscape will be transformed so that it's facing towards the audience at the desired perspective. We finally conducted a within-subject user study on 24 participants to evaluate the performance of spatial immersion as well as understanding among different settings of viewpoint and navigation. Results show that exo and ego viewpoints shows advantages in content and spatial detail memorability, respectively, but it's not significant in terms of statistics. We also found that active navigation enhances a sense of presence compared to passive navigation, but it does not increase the workload when combined with egocentric viewpoint. Participants also demonstrate a preference on either egocentric plus active for its higher agency and engagement, or exocentric plus passive for its higher focus on the content. Based on this result, we found egocentricity is better at content memorability, including overview and details, while egocentricity is better at spatial memorability. Egocentricity provides comprehensive information within audience's point of view, which alleviates the problem of targeting story elements in the space. However, this also causes a larger information density and more objective occlusions. This makes audience less sensitive to the visual changes, and as a side effect, they tend to pay more attention to narratives. Egocentricity, conversely, is easier for participants to capture object transforms because of its smaller information density. But they need to spend more efforts on locating objects. As a result, more attention tends to be spent on visuals. Active navigation significantly enhances the sense of presence compared to the passive, but it also brings substantial increase in perceived workload in exocentric case compared to egocentric case. There are two main difficulties in exocentric cases. First, interactions have higher precision requirements, and second, as the main visual element is rotating, audiences can easily get lost of the orientations, which makes subsequent interactions even cognitively harder. From our study, we identify a significant difference in audience priorities, which can be classified as either information-oriented or experience-oriented. Information-oriented audience focus on discovering and understanding detailed content. They prefer full control over the information they consume, and they favor a clear, structured layouts. For these users, egocentric viewpoint and passive navigation are ideal for them, as it has also driven clear narratives and minimal interactions. On the other hand, experience-oriented audience value a more user-driven experience. They seek control over VR elements and prefer embodied interactions, even if it means they may miss some important contents in the story. In this case, an egocentric viewpoint and active navigation are better suited to this group, as they encourage deeper engagement. To summarize our work, we first elicited important story components from collected 3D spatial web stories. We then adapted 4 selected web stories to immersive environments based on these story components. We then present a user study investigating the effect of viewpoint and navigation on spatial immersion as well as understanding in immersive stories. Our study indicates associations between viewpoint and navigation and provides a preliminary exploration of their individual and combined effects on immersive storytelling.